Hello everyone, it's Jackie. Welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I want to discuss my favorite Game of Thrones family, the Starks. As you all surely know, the sigil of House Stark is a direwolf, and the Stark children actually have direwolves as pets. In the first book, A Game of Thrones, and the pilot episode of the Game of Thrones TV show, we see the Starks come across 6 direwolf pups, one for each of the trueborn Stark children, plus Ned Stark's bastard, Jon Snow. Now, in the books, Bran is not the only Stark child who has the power to warg into his direwolf. All of the Stark children have this power, and several Stark children experience wolf dreams where they dream that they are their wolf and see things through their wolf's eyes. Additionally, in the book series, the final words of Robb and Jon are different from in the television show. When Robb is murdered at the Red Wedding and Jon is stabbed by his Night's Watch brothers, the final words they speak before their deaths are the names of their direwolves, Grey Wind and Ghost. Also, when Rickon begins acting out, his direwolf Shaggy Dog becomes increasingly more wild and misbehaving. All of this goes to show there is a deep connection between the Stark children and their respective direwolves. In fact, the fates of the Starks and their wolves often mirror each other. So, with 4 Stark children left alive in the television show, I thought it would be a good idea to examine what their direwolves could possibly say about their fate. First off, we have Jon Snow and his direwolf Ghost. Growing up at Winterfell, Jon always felt like an outsider among his siblings. Just like Jon, Ghost isn't like his other siblings. He physically doesn't look like the other pups. He's white with red eyes. Jon actually didn't look physically like a lot of his other siblings in the books because in the book series, all of the Stark children except for Arya had their mother's Tully look, being red-haired and blue-eyed. So Jon and Arya are the only ones with the traditional Stark look of dark hair and gray eyes. So not only does Jon feel like he's treated differently, but he also looks differently. And this is actually interesting because in the TV show, Jon and Arya are the only 2 who have direwolves that are still living, which is kind of interesting considering in the books, they're the only 2 who look like Starks. I was also wondering if Ghost's physical appearance could have served as foreshadowing for the reveal that Jon is actually the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. Now, Ghost has red eyes, and red is one of the colors of House Targaryen. Also, the fact that Ghost is white and red made me wonder if that represents how Jon is both ice and fire, as white is often associated with winter and ice, and red is associated with fire. Just something to think about. The TV show seems to have forgotten about Ghost in Season 7, but I hope we'll see him again in Season 8, and I think that as long as Jon is alive, Ghost will stay alive as well, and vice versa. Next, we have Sansa Stark and her direwolf Lady. Now, Lady tragically died in the TV show's first season and the first book of the series. She died on the orders of Cersei after Nymeria, Arya's direwolf, bit Joffrey. Now, since they didn't have Nymeria, Cersei said that Lady should be put down instead as punishment. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that Sansa will have to physically die. Much like Sansa, Lady was the sweetest, the gentlest, and the most beautiful of all the direwolves. However, she died anyway, and this represents, in my opinion, the death of Sansa's innocence. After losing Lady, she suffered greatly under the hands of the Lannisters, just like Lady did. Now, Sansa has become an entirely different person. She is much more hardened and not as naturally trusting as she used to be. She's very suspicious of outsiders and wants to protect the North. I think we've already seen a metaphorical death for Sansa with the loss of her innocence, and that is what Lady's death represented. Now, Sansa could possibly still die at the end of the show, but like I've said before, I don't think she will. I think she will be the Stark in Winterfell at the end, and she will be the Lady of Winterfell. Next, we have Arya Stark and her direwolf Nymeria. After Arya sent Nymeria away back in Season 1, or Book 1 of the series, we saw that both Arya and Nymeria went off on their own and had some big adventures. Now, I think there are 2 possible fates for Arya that could both work with Nymeria's life now. On one hand, Nymeria is off in the wild, which could represent how Arya isn't going to settle down and will continue to have adventures. I don't think she would ever be an assassin again, but she has expressed some interest in exploring and seeing the world, which is a definite possibility. However, Nymeria also has a pack now. And I think my interpretation of Arya's character is that family is very, very important to her, and I don't think she would want to continue killing once she's avenged her family. Perhaps she would decide that she wants to have a home again and have a nice, normal life. Like I've said in a video before, I do think there is potential foreshadowing to her ending up with Gendry. If she marries anyone, I think that would be the person she would choose. However, I don't think it's set in stone, and I could see Arya just rejecting social convention altogether and never marrying anyone, but I think it really just depends on the direction that they want to go with her character. Either way, I think would stay true to who she is as a person, and I would be happy with either ending, as long as Arya is alive and doing something that makes her happy, basically. I will say, however, interestingly enough, Arya did name her direwolf after Queen Nymeria, who was a warrior queen who married a Martell and founded the modern-day House Martell as we know it. So it is entirely possible that Arya could marry but still remain a fierce warrior and mother a great dynasty. One of the things I hate is when people make it seem like a woman has to choose between being tough and strong or being in love. I think you can have both. You don't have to be a stereotypical girl to find love with someone, and I think it would be great to see Arya having a happy life but also staying true to herself. And finally, we have to talk about Bran Stark and his direwolf Summer. Like Bran, Summer is very intelligent, and in the book series, Summer actually suffers a leg injury after falling out of a tree, much like Bran is paralyzed after he is pushed from that tower by Jaime Lannister. However, I still think there is a strong chance that Bran will have to die, will have to sacrifice himself like Summer sacrificed his self, and I made a whole video about that. It's linked in the description, so if you want to hear more about that theory, go watch that video and I will describe it there more in depth. So everyone, that is it for today. Please give this video a big like if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what you think the ending will be for the Starks. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more from me, please subscribe to my channel. I would very much appreciate it. And that's all for today. So until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!